Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about in terms of how to find growth stocks. Uh, Now this one is going to be based on this book, How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill, where he had mentioned about different kind of strategies or different kind of fundamentals that a person can use to go and determine, is this stock really worth my time or worth the money, right? Let me show you a few examples to make you better understand of what kind of stocks he is looking at. So let's take a look at this company, Amazon, right? If you look at Amazon, a few key things that he's really looking at is in terms of the sales numbers and the earnings numbers, right? So if you look on this Amazon, the sales numbers, you see a steady increase in the sales numbers, and sales increase quarter over quarter is about 19.7, right? The other thing you're looking at is in terms of earnings per share, which is how much money are they actually making after all the cost and so on, right? So if you look at the earnings numbers, I mean, since 2014, it is on a tear, right? It goes from negative 0.52, 1.28, 5, 4.6, and 20.36, right? So substantial increase in earnings, substantial increase in sales. That's one of the reasons why, if you look at this Amazon stock, right? If you take a look on the monthly chart, right? So we take a look at since 14 and 18, you see this stock on a massive tear, right? It went from what, $400 to $2,000. The other stock that you can take a look at with real life example is a stock like maybe Netflix, right? Same story in Netflix. You can see how it went from the sales numbers from 2014, 2018. In 4 years, they actually almost tripled their sales numbers. And in terms of earnings, you also see a steady increase in earnings, right? So sales quarter over quarter was 27.4. Now, even though the earnings quarter over quarter hasn't been that great, but sales numbers in terms of how well are they able to sell their particular product has been tremendous, right? One of the examples that you can take a look at is Fizz, Fizz. Once again, steady increase in sales numbers from 2014 to 18, almost 1.5 times their sales numbers. In terms of the earnings, they went from 0.93 to 3.12, so that's a substantial increase in earnings, right? And now when you take a look at the growth of the chart, I mean, you see the substantial increase, right? 2014 and 18, you see a nice uptrend. That's what you see on here. So if you're trying to use Finviz to go and find out how are we going to go and determine, is this stock really going to be a winner? So if you're on Finviz, you can go to industry stocks only. You also want to take a look at in terms of the fundamentals, right? So a lot of times it's a growing company, you will probably see sales increase. So you can do sales growth quarter over quarter, right? The more sales, the better. So in this one, the maximum goes at over 30%. So you can use that as a number. And you'll see that, you know what, it's shortlisted to about 844 shares. Now, of course, some of them might be penny stocks and so on. So you want to find something which has a decent volume on it. So stocks volume will be over 300,000, which means a decent volume out there. And you also want to find stocks which have some range, right? So maybe stocks which have over 0.5 as a range. So now we're restricted to about 280 stocks. Now what you want to do is you can do it in terms of how the stock has actually performed in the last, let's say in the last quarter, right? So you do this scan, you do charts. So now it's going to give you a layout on all the stocks out there which fits those parameters. So something like, you know what, if you look at GH, Guardian Health, even though the earnings numbers are not there, the sales has been gigantic, right? From 2015 to 2017, went on to this massive tear from what, 40 odd bucks to 100 bucks, right? That's a pretty decent size move. Let's see if there's anything else. So something like SE, same story on here. C Limited, earnings are not there, right? Even though the earnings are not there, you can see the sales numbers are really going up, right? So if you're looking to find growth stocks, then those are the parameters you might want to be looking at. Take a look at, you know what are the sales numbers? What are the earnings numbers? Earnings at times you might not see increasing at that much. However, if you see really good sales numbers, that is a growth stock. The best is if you're able to combine both, right? So if you do go back on the screener, and if you're able to go and find stocks based on the way that William O'Neill does it, is he wants to have great earnings with great sales numbers, right? So what you're able to see over here is about 122 names. One of the common names you'll see is ZS, which is becoming a momentum name. So the sales number is there. The earnings, though, they're not doing that great, but quarter over quarter, they're still doing okay. Year over year, not that great, but in terms of quarter over quarter, there is improvement. Let's take a look at some other names. Let's say this PBYI, Puma Biotech, right? You see this gigantic increase in sales. Let me find you something else, something like, say, TTT, the trade desk. So this one is, again, a really good combining earnings with sales, right? You see massive sales numbers, massive earnings numbers. What do you see on the chart? If you do want to look at the monthly chart, is you see this stock going from 40 to almost 200 bucks. So all these stocks which are making some really, really great moves out there, if you combine the fundamentals with the earnings, you will see that, you know what, they have some blueprint of how these stocks actually work. So sales quarter over quarter over 300, earnings over 40, right? And you see this stock's actually making some pretty gigantic moves, right? So if you like the video, do like and subscribe. Keeps you motivated to make more video for you guys. Have a good one.